Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking from up front here. Y'all just sit on back and relax.
You can be my wingman anytime.
There's someone on the wing. Something.
We're winging it, Jerry.
Wing it?
Wing it.
We can't all just wing it.
I need a wingman. You could be my wingman.
You gotta have a wingman.
Welcome to The Wingmen, a podcast with James Clemens Jets Sports squarely in the crosshairs, with your hosts Captain Kirk Pierce, Coach Johnny Lone Star Johnson, and Coach Brad Homebrew Kimbrew.
Let's kick the tires and light the fires, Big Daddy.
Hold on to your butts.
Don't go away. The Wingmen will be right back.
At Walk-On Sports Bistro, our love for the game, community, and heart of a walk-on make you feel like family the moment you walk in. Wings, shrimp, and burgers made from scratch, wall-to-wall TVs, and signature drinks. Founded by two LSU walk-ons, Walk-On Sports Bistro brings the cuisine, the culture, and the community to life. Always fun, never forced, and our doors are open to anyone. Walk-On Sports Bistro, 8368 Highway 72 West in Madison. Walk-On Sports Bistro.
If you're looking to make your business stand out, save yourself some time and make Apparel Lab in Madison your first call. Apparel Lab will help you grow your brand with custom t-shirts and hoodies using their unique direct-to-garment printing. Laser engraving can put your design on mugs and tumblers. Plus, they can help with custom-designed hats, stickers, banners, signs, decals, and much more. Apparel Lab. Call 344-4656 or visit them online at apparellab.inc and on Facebook and Instagram. Located in the Madison Mall Shopping Center on Old Madison Pike. Apparel Lab.
Are pests invading your home or business? Mosquitoes embedded on your property? Maybe excessive crawl space moisture has attracted unwanted visitors. Then call RedHawk Pest Control, offering residential and commercial pest control, mosquito and brown recluse management, stinging insect control, foundation vents, and many other services to North Alabama and Southern Tennessee. RedHawk aims to be more than just a service provider. They want to build a long-term relationship with each customer. Call RedHawk Pest Control at 256-975-8817. Visit them on Facebook or online at redhawkpestcontrol.com.
Whether you're an experienced golfer or a total beginner, Madison Golf Center has the largest, most up-to-date practice range in North Alabama, including a complete teaching center with the best and most experienced instructional staff available at your convenience. Madison Golf Center features the most complete driving range facility around, with a large grass tee area allowing for 100 hitting stations a day with a 14-day rotation. Open every day year-round and located at 401 Lime Quarry Road, between Waltrina and Hughes Road. Madison Golf Center.
You can't spell Wingmen without the letters W-I-N, and the Wingmen podcast has plenty of ways to win. Here's one. The RedHawk Top Flight Award. Nominate a student, teacher, administrator, or anyone from the James Clemens family for a job well done. We'll give away a gift card from Walk-On Sports Bistro on each show, and at the end of the football season, we'll draw from those names for a year of service from RedHawk Pest Control, the RedHawk Top Flight Award. Get your entries in today at jcwingmen.net. From RedHawk Pest Control, Walk-On Sports Bistro, and the Wingmen Podcast.
Now, more of The Wingmen on PAS+.
Hey, what's up, Jet Nations? This is Kirk Pierce, your host of the Wingmen Podcast. It's your one-stop shop for all things James Clemens Jets, where we get to deep dive into the world of athletics at our favorite high school. We get to break down games, analyze plays, and interview the players and coaches who make it all happen. We also just have a little bit of fun. So buckle up, Jets fans. It's time to take flight as we are live at Walk-On Sports Bistro on Highway 72 in Madison. And joining me, as always, is one of the Wingmen crew. As always, you're here, Brad. You're dependable.
Consistent
head coach for James Clemens softball, Brad Homebrew Kimbrew.
My homebrew sneaks up on you.
And we're missing head baseball coach for James Clemens, Johnny Lone Star Johnson, and also our chief statistician, Carson Stone Cold Stretch Austin. But also with us is our producer extraordinaire, Mr. Tim Oz Lambert.
I am Oz, great and powerful.
I always forget that last part's coming in, you know. And sitting in with us tonight for his first time ever as guest host, co-host with us is none other than Clay Freak Daddy Coleman.
When you're born in this world, you're given a ticket to the freak show.
So you're a control freak?
just a freak show anyway.
I mean,
that doesn't boost your ego, does it?
Not at all.
Dude.
I wish I had some Rick James in my intro.
I tell you, little super freak. I mean, Clay, man, welcome aboard.
I'm honored to be here. I'm actually a fan. I've enjoyed listening to y'all's show. I did radio for 26 years, and y'all are doing it right. It's been really, really cool to listen to you guys.
I don't know if we're doing it right.
We're just doing it.
We just do it.
Yeah, no, you're doing it right.
Well, we're having a good time, and glad to have you with us. And we're really just coming off of, our first loss of the season this past Friday night and lost to Spain Park. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, probably one of the best high school football games that I've seen in a while, Friday night. And the conditions did not kind of lay out the best scenario for football with the hurricane coming in, and there were a lot of things that we had to deal with. And so I want to go ahead and bring in our first guest right off the top and just get into this and bring in Coach McGehee. Coach, welcome back.
I think it's been a few weeks.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's been a few weeks since
you got some bigger celebrities.
Well, we keep
over the course of the last.
We've had some players. I tell you, we had Ty here last week, and we made the joke. We asked him, told him that we had Cam on and had MJ on, and then asked him who's the fastest, and then he said, of course, himself. And I promise you, before we were done, I about had him ready to go the next day and challenge them to a race.
We know how competitive he is, but he really was wanting to leave the table to text Cam. Did you say you were faster than him?
He was headed that way.
Yeah, because I think we asked him, or we told him that we asked Cam who was faster, or asked MJ.
Yeah, he said, what they say.
MJ said, I'm not. The other guys are. And Ty immediately wanted to know, what'd Cam say? He was going to race the next day.
Yeah.
Coach, it has been a few weeks since we've had you on. Just give us your synopsis and evaluation of where we are as we're halfway through the season now.
Yeah, I think we're in a good place. We've got a big stretch these next 3 weeks. It really comes down to a 3-week season ahead for the region championship and seeding with, obviously this week going to Florence and then Sparkman, then Austin. And Austin will be at home. So, we're in a good place, though. 4-1, obviously, we're not into moral victories, but, I was proud of our kids, their performance, and the grit that we showed in that game. And I really think we're peaking offensively after that game. It's probably the cleanest, most efficient offensive game that we've had this year. Eliminated a lot of the penalties, just did some really good things and ran the ball really well against we punched those guys in the mouth on the offensive line and then tight end position, and those were our players of the week, the whole group. So I was real excited, and we didn't turn the ball over given the weather conditions. As far as fumbles, we had 1 interception, 2 interceptions, and I'll take credit for both those. Just not putting our guys in the best situation. And then defensively, we missed a lot of tackles and some things genetically that had to do with that. They had 2 really, really, really good running backs and had some great skill kids. But, I'm really, really proud of our kids because it's just amazing to me when they get off the bus and they don't look like we do, and we're giving up some size and some speed and some things, and I'm really proud of our coaches too, and just coaching those guys up and getting them in a position to win and have an opportunity to win. And, somebody had to win the Alabama-Georgia game, and somebody had to win the Spain Park versus us, James Clemens game. And unfortunately we didn't come out on top, but, we were playing to win. And, and so I think it was a good shot in the arm for us going in the region, good competition. And so I'm excited about this week.
I think those are all things we talked about on Friday night,
absolutely.
Right? This was probably one of the premier games in the state last week. You're talking about a team as good of a high school team as I remember seeing in recent times, Spain Park I'm talking about. And, we didn't back down at all. Like you said, we came out firing and through it all, even the times of adversity.
Sure.
Our kids didn't give up. They didn't give in. We continued to play hard, and we faced adversity that a lot of people probably don't know about. I mean, you quarterback getting his first varsity start, a couple injuries that guys were missing, and we needed other people to step up. So, all in all, I thought kudos to you guys for the effort that you guys put out there last week. And you factor in the weather too, man. I mean, that was anything could have went one way or the other at any time. So it was I think it was huge. And you want to see that competition.
Yeah.
You talked about that your first week here.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we scheduled the teams that we schedule, and Homewood at the end of the year is not going to be they just had a battle with Mountain Brook for their first loss. It'll be tough going into the playoffs, but we learned a lot about who we are as a team, and that was a really good test for us. And honestly, we needed it. We had, 2 DNs that have torn their ACL like in the last 2 weeks, and I had to put somebody down there that has not played that position, so we really needed that. Had our starting nickel out with an ankle injury, and then, we obviously starting a sophomore quarterback. So it was all good. It was a really good experience for a lot of guys, and and it's exposed some things that we need to fix. When you play good competition, go back to the drawing board, and you see good coaching, and you're like, oh, we need to change some of these things on defense for our kids to, fourth quarter we had some issues. So it was just a good experience overall for the coaches and the players. And
well, let me ask you that we look at it from coaching standpoint and say, man, that's great for us, right? After the game, how do you think your team took it? Have they looked at it the same way? Man, what a great opportunity for us, and now we know where we're at, and let's get back to work.
Yeah, I think our kids are confident, and we just got to find a way in those games to be consistent from first quarter to fourth quarter, and to finish the drill, and finish those games. But look, I'm going to tell you what, and I told the kids at halftime we saw a look on film on their kickoff return that the onside kick was going to be wide open.
Yeah.
And I told the kids at halftime that, we left the Hoover game and we're up 16-7. We come out, we kick off to them, and there was a look that we really liked, and I played it conservatively and didn't go for it, and they end up scoring, and then we fumble a kickoff, and then it just piled on, and I'm like, I'm not going to live with regrets. And I told the kids, I said, we're going to go out and play to win, and we're going to go for it. And it's not going to affect us in region, but we're going to go win. And we went for it, and we had it. We were just half a yard too quick.
Half a yard.
A half a yard too quick for the kicker to pick it up. We were aggressive, and we had that talk. They're going to get it at the 50, and they may go score. So then we're going to have to come back, and we're going to have to score. And it was just one of those back and forth. They are a really good offensive team.
Very.
We're a very good offensive team, I feel like. So just a great battle. Coach Vakakis later that night sent me a text, said, man, that was a hell of a game. And said that was big boy football.
It was.
It really was.
And
you said you didn't really think when looking at it as a moral victory, but for me, you look at all the sports movies, like I was a big fan of the movie Hoosiers, where he brings them in the arena and he says it's not as big as you. It's kind of like probably getting that edge where it's like there was always this fear since I've been here. When Birmingham comes to town, it's like Mufasa. Oh my gosh, Birmingham's coming, Birmingham. Yeah. And when they came out and were just pounded, I was like, that's got to be a little bit where you're like, I punched them and they hurt.
Yeah. The kids are confident and they believe in themselves, and having this group in the program for 4 years it's a really it's a neat evolution to where we are, and hopefully we can continue to grow from it and continue to peak like we did Friday on offense. And but like I told the kids, we're going to go to a stadium on Friday night, and it's a college stadium, and it's going to be a lot like Alabama A&M. It's going to be quiet, and there's not going to be any students because they're all out of town this fall break. And but it's about us, and we're going to have to focus on us and it being about us and not the atmosphere and those things. So it's going to be a tough it's going to be a tough deal.
That was an intense game last year.
Oh, it was. I mean, it was
14-7.
14-7, yeah.
And had to pull out some tricks to get that 14. I mean, it was a fun game to be a part of, not one I would want to be coaching on the sideline.
Well, they're very good on defense, and they got them all back. So we got them all back on offense. They got them all back on defense. It'll be probably the best front that we've seen. So
really, I mean, even with what you guys saw Friday night, because that was a pretty big size front.
Yep, this front's going to be really athletic and just a different scheme.
Okay.
So that's going to be a challenge. I think if you look at it interior-wise, it'll be the best interior that we've seen. Mm-hmm. Okay. And we've played some really good edges, but this will be the best interior, the nose and the tackle position. And should be a good slobber knocker. Yeah.
Well, and you talked about the things that you guys were able to focus on. I mean, and the kids kind of bouncing back and getting ready for this week. But right afterwards, the resiliency, or what was the attitude? How did you temper the locker room afterwards? I know you guys get together on the field and stuff, but how were you able to temper that, letting them know, hey, yeah, we just took a loss, but hey,
Well, I mean, I told them, like, we're not into moral victories and never will be. And if you are, then we'll never get to where we want to be. But it was, I was very proud of them. And I was proud of our effort, and I was proud of our execution. And they know somebody's got to win and somebody's got to lose. I told them that was 2 top 10 teams in my mind playing football.
Absolutely.
And it could go the other way, not to be too much like Hugh Freeze, but we could play 5 more times and it could go either way. I feel like, it's the next day we got to wake up and realize that we've got 3 weeks in front of us to determine either we're going to be a region champion or we're going to be a 4 seed on the road traveling. So it's a really important stretch that we refocus and get our composure back and be ready to go. But if that team that showed up Friday night plays these next 3 weeks, I feel very confident in where we are.
As you should.
Yep.
All right, so, I mean, we hit on it Friday night, too. I mean, that's where we are. Florence, Sparkman, Austin. And you said it earlier, down to a 3-week season, really. And we stay in the driver's seat. We got nothing to worry about.
Yeah, we certainly for the seniors, I want them to have the opportunity to walk out of here back-to-back region champs. And, having won 2 out of 3 since their sophomore year, but as a program, 3 out of 4. And I want that for them. And I told them today, don't live with regrets. Don't wake up when you're my age and wish that you had practiced a little bit harder or you had focused a little bit more. And that's been the message. Don't live with regret, but let's go out and cut it loose and go try to do this. And you definitely, the way the regions match up, you don't want to be a 4 seed because you don't want to drive down to Central Phoenix City and have to make that 3.5 hour drive to go play somewhere.
Yeah.
So you always want to host for the community and the school and the support here.
So we talked about some defensively and even on offense, we had to fill in some gaps due to some injuries and stuff. How those young kids perform in terms of once you've gone back, reviewed the tape, seen how these guys had to step up in those gaps and make some plays, because we saw some making some plays Friday night that made a difference, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think especially defensively, when you get put into a different position than what you've been playing from linebacker to defensive end, that's a tough transition for a kid and it's a learning curve. So we had to build things around what some of these guys could do, not what we've been doing, but we had to limit some. It is what we've been doing, but we had to kind of take some things
Scale it back
out
a little bit, sure.
And just keep building this week. So we went and stripped some things down that they can execute, because it ain't about the calls. It's about the kids being able to go out and execute and play, But, James Hollins went down the defensive end because we had 2 defensive ends go out with ACL injury, and Jay Young was one of them, and I want to brag on him because, that kid's worked so hard to get to where he is this year and was having an incredible year, and great leader, great culture guy, great just human being kid. And, my heart breaks for him, in the fourth quarter, Grissom tears his ACL. And, then we lose another one Monday night, his backup, another end, trying to get some reps in a Monday night game in the first quarter. And so, so James had to go down and play defensive end, and thought there's never a question about his effort. He's a high-level effort type kid, and there never will be a question. I can live with that. I can live with mistakes if you're giving great effort, and that's why he is where he is. He has a motor that runs, and so I thought he did a really good job filling in. I thought, quarterback position was really efficient in the game, and I like what we do offensively because, like I've said before, it doesn't matter. It travels in the rain, the snow, or whatever conditions. Like, we're going to run the football, so it really doesn't matter, and try to manage the game and keep it as efficient as we can. So I thought our young quarterback did a really good job doing that as well.
Now, Hollins he made some plays. He got in there in the backfield, and we had seen that kind of progression with him from the linebacker slot over the course of the past couple of weeks. And we even talked about it a couple of Friday nights ago. Maybe it was against Grissom or Huntsville, but that was a new name that we had not been calling. And then all of a sudden, we're seeing him more and more.
He's in there mixing it up all
the time. And now Friday night, he's getting in there and getting got in the backfield, made some stops for loss in the backfield. So that's huge on him.
Yeah.
And so one of the other things, we actually talked to Ty last week about the fact that, we know that he has been kind of on a snap count up until a certain point of the season, and we're starting to see, and he even admitted that he's been a little bit apprehensive about going all full on, slowly trying to make sure his shoulder doesn't get re-injured and whatnot. But Friday night, it's a big game. He had over 200 all-purpose yards.
I think it was like 240 something. So, and that's part of the conversation we had that Ty is peaking now too, at the right time. Playing himself back into shape was a big part of it when you have an issue like a labrum and you're not able to run in condition and you're not in football shape. And so he just keeps getting better and better and better. And I thought that was kind of the old Ty that we have come to know and see what why he's elite and why he's been two-time All-State player. So peaking at the right time there. So definitely glad to have Superman back right there.
Not just right. He's playing a lot of different positions, and we asked him, being back there in the tailback, what does he think about that? He loves it because it's an immediate hand.
Just wants the ball in his
hand. Well,
direct
how do you get the best players if you're sitting there and you lose and your best players only touch the ball, once or twice?
Sure.
Like, how do you get these guys the football?
Yeah.
So
when we always talk about what we're doing to prepare for them, I'm sure with Cam and Ty and MJ, that's not a fun thing for an opposing team that goes, okay, they've got a three-headed monster that when you try to key in on one, there's some other ones. And if they're all firing on all cylinders, that could be fun.
Sure. Oh, absolutely.
And so far they have. Cam didn't get near as many touches last week, but dude did a job.
Yeah.
And I think just him being on the field is enough. Like you said, you got to prepare for that. But
and Cam played defense last week too, and then his role is going to increase this week as well on defense. So there's some of that in play with him going back and forth and having to play defense and offense just to alleviate some injuries. But he started at the same position as a 10th grader and played all year on defense. So he's kind of coming back home to me and Coach Rich.
To the good side.
to the good side. And definitely those guys, spreading the wealth around and being able to have those guys. And then you just take into account all the preparation, too, of all the shifts, trades, and motions and formations that you're getting. It probably would not be a fun Sunday for the defensive coordinators trying to plan for what we do offensively. So that's what makes us unique.
Then you add in that one pass that Matthew threw to A.J. Little, which was incredible on that one third down. That was huge. And then
the big third down.
Hockenbach gets a pass thrown to him.
We asked him last week, too. Talked to Hockenbach about, the fact that, he caught a couple of balls, dropped one. Mm-hmm. We kind of laughed about that, but asked him, what's his thoughts about not getting in the end zone and, of course, being unselfish. And then what happens? He turns around Friday night and gets in the end zone.
That was my two favorite plays. You had his play where he's there on the 5 and starts going, and the entire team runs to him and pushes him in. And then, Evers had the QB sneak that was at the 8.
Yeah.
Oh, I know, yeah.
And went from the 8-yard line into the end zone,
yeah.
So, that's huge. When you look at those tight ends, and of course, we had both of them on here last week, AJ and Achenbach, and AJ talked about he just wants to hit somebody.
Yeah.
Both those guys are just physical. Man, they just want to be physical.
That's we talk about the culture of your unit room. That's a good culture in that tight end room. Like, that's the room that you want to, as a position coach, to coach, because they're just blue-collar guys that put their hard hat on and they go to work.
Yeah.
They don't care if they catch a ball or not. They just go block and block.
Just go do their thing.
And do it. So it was nice to see Achenbach kind of get a reward for that. And
I was happy. I was tickled to death for him. Both of them. Those guys just do. So I know you're a big Braves fan, so I'm going to change gears on you a little bit. Where are we at tonight? I know your first pitch is at 7:30, and so I know that you're going to be tuned in as soon as you leave here. What are you thinking about the Braves going in?
Well,
I'm just changing up on him.
My wife's sitting here behind me, and I was so frustrated with them after that first game yesterday. And it was like an emotional roller coaster. 3-0. Then the 8th inning, we blow the lead. And then we come back and we get it, and we're going to win it, and then we blow the lead again. So it was very frustrating. For what they've done, you got to give credit just getting in, because if you look at that lineup compared to when they started the year and the amount of injuries they've had and the Band-Aids that they've put on, and now, we're thinking we're going to pitch Chris Sale out in San Diego, and he's not even there. He's not even on the roster because he's got back spasms. The best pitcher in baseball, so
can't even throw.
The guy we're throwing out there tonight has pitched 4 innings this year in the majors.
He should be well rested.
So he should be well rested. There's a little bit of reservation,
little mystery.
We're Braves through and through. Obviously, I've shared before. My wife's from Atlanta and that area, and then I've spent 16 years there. And Brett, my son, grew up there in Clayton, grew up there. But Brett lives and dies by the Braves, so
big fan.
There is no forgiveness for injuries, or there's no excuses.
Just win, baby.
And
just win.
It doesn't matter who's on the mound, and I'll be getting texts from him, like blowing me up about all the negative stuff. Like the other day, we're Sunday, we're in meetings, and Brett texted me. He's like, "Well, there's Charlie Morton again," and I said, "What are you talking about?" He's like, 3-0, hadn't even gotten an out yet. So
poor coach over here trying to prepare for Florence.
Yeah, I'm
big
trying to get ready
game.
for Florence, and Charlie
He's getting Charlie Morton text.
So
Charlie Morton's controlling his household.
But
I'd love to come over and watch a game. But my dad, when we'd watch basketball games, nobody could walk in front of the TV. I bet it's like that. Everything has to be still clear of the room.
That and Alabama games. And when Amy's parents come over to visit, and during the fall, they are advised, do not ask questions during an Alabama football game. Because that's the first way that you get yelled at.
Yeah.
It should be a standing rule in your home,
It's my house.
Well,
yeah. So don't come over here asking.
So I was in Tuscaloosa Saturday. So I went to the game, and first of all, best Alabama game I've been to.
That's what I've heard.
It was the best Alabama
greatest
game.
Environment ever.
That was packed out and everything. But I started getting texts from my wife, and she's like, "Hope you're having a good time." I was like, "Yeah, having a great time." Took my oldest son. We went down, and my youngest son was at home, and the next text I get from my wife is, I just want you to know this is the most exciting game I've ever watched, and you're not here, and it's made it more enjoyable for us.
So, hey, my wife's raising her hand back here. So, the game's on replay up here, but when they went up 28-0 and they panned the Saban, and there's no emotion, there's no smile.
That was totally me, by the way.
The Godfather was out of there.
That was me.
Yes.
At the house, and I'm just like, I'm just telling you, this is the worst case scenario. The football coach in me, this is the worst case scenario of getting a large lead and then having to manage that and sit on it and try to, because there's no sense of urgency when you get up like that.
Right.
And I'm like, I've seen this too often, and I got accused of being negative by everybody. And I had to go upstairs and finish watching the game by myself in the man cave.
Coach, I had the same experience Saturday, and I'm like, hey, this team is a lot like we talked about Friday night. Yeah. This team is too good. You're not going to keep them out of the end zone. No. It's not going to be like this for the next 3 quarters.
Yes.
You know, same conversation we had in the press box Friday night, I was having in my living room on Saturday. Like, hey, just chill out right now. It's okay. You're not excited enough. Well,
you didn't think Kirby Smart would just lay down?
It's good. No, it's not going to happen. They are way too talented. You're not going to shut this team out. You know, it's not going to happen. So.
Well, I was sending texts. I told you so back down at the fourth quarter. I told you.
Okay, I did not do that. So, I'm not.
Yeah.
No, I'm
See,
not
for me, it was just like that, and going into the game, I fully expected 4 quarters of just punch.
Yeah.
Receive, punch, you know, and so by the time Georgia comes out in the third quarter and starts doing all the scoring, mentally I had already prepared for that. What had happened in the first half was a complete shocker to me.
You had one coach that had a scripted plan that worked, and the other one wrote his own plan in the second locker room, and the other one didn't know what he was doing at that point.
Right.
Absolutely.
It's probably the worst type of game to have to manage. Like, I would rather be in a game where it's everything's on the edge and every count rep matters, and because like you lose a little bit of focus.
You do. Coaches and kids.
And then all of a sudden now it's 3 scores, now it's 2 scores, and that's a 1-score game, and you're in it. Like, you know, and that's always even for us when we're playing a team where we feel like, okay, we're going to be able to pull the starters. When do you do that? When do you pull your starters? Because the team you're playing is not going to pull their starters.
No.
Right.
And they're going to keep these seniors in here and these seasoned guys that are pretty good football players against your JV. And now all of a sudden, it's a 3-score game. Then it's a 2-score game. But you want to have class and you want to pull your start, so it's the same type.
It's same thing in softball. Yeah. You get up 12 runs in the first, and you're like, all right, if you leave those older kids in there, you start seeing more errors.
Yeah.
You start seeing just absent-minded mental mistakes. They're not into it.
Right.
And then that other team score 2 this inning, 3 the next inning, 3. And now your at-bats are terrible now, by the way. You know, so 12-0 game becomes 12-6 game pretty quick.
And then you got to make some more adjustments.
But again, you know, you want to get those kids out.
Yeah.
You put those young kids in there, and all of a sudden, that team that couldn't hit anything, they're all hitting 400 now. Pow, 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 you know, and people are getting rockets. People are getting rockets hit at them, and they can't make the play.
Yeah, but then you get a win, and you don't even feel good about the win.
No, you don't.
It's 12-10.
Well, you know,
you're mad.
Looking up here on the replay, this is the third quarter.
Yep.
And I know what happens here. If it hadn't already happened, it's going to happen here in a minute. And it happened right in front of us where we were in the stadium. We were like 8 or 9, 12 rows up in the corner of the south end zone, and right in front of us is the tip drill that Ryan Williams does.
Yeah.
And just talk about a phenom at 17 years old. He should be playing with you guys right now. I mean, in terms
we're glad
of,
he's not.
He should be going to the homecoming dance.
Right.
You know?
I mean, and then to see some of the things that this kid does, it's phenomenal knowing that he's just 17. And so,
have you ever seen Derrick Henry's high school films?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, he was different.
I mean, those type kids.
Well, there's a reason why Sarah Land won state championship and was in it last year in the finals. That, you know, good players make really good coaches and good teams. And
makes coaching easy.
Yeah. he's definitely a special talent.
You know how you coach those kids, right?
You just let them go.
You get them on the bus.
Get them on the bus.
That was my job in college. Get those kids
get
on the bus.
Get them on the bus. Just get them to Friday night.
You don't have to teach them a thing. Just get them to the bus.
So, but he is unique, and he is fun to watch. So I don't know how long we're going to get to watch him, though.
I don't either. It's the same thing. I told my son who's 16, I was like, dude, you realize by the time you graduate high school, he's supposed to be a senior in high school. By the time you graduate from high school, he could end up technically being the youngest player ever drafted. In terms of that, if you want to look at it like that.
Oh, that's right, because Claret had like a 2-year litigation before he got drafted, right?
Yeah. I don't know that these guys are in such a sense of urgency now to get drafted because they're making millions anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, they're taking care of their families.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be in a hurry.
Well, that brings up a question we haven't discussed with you, but I know you want to get out of here, so we can save it for next time.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Good.
All right. Leave us hanging.
There it is. Your take on NIL in high school? Because we talked about it week 1, I think, on the show.
We did, yeah.
We were told that it's summer conference this year.
I honestly think, Georgia's gone to it, and it's not like the full-blown NIL. I think it would only affect a small percentage of the kids that are a 5-star or a 4-star. I don't know that it would, be as prevalent as it is in college football. And, but it's interesting dynamic because just like in college football, you have the haves and the have-nots, and who's able to go and get a kid to, a Birmingham school because, the Toyota dealership is a big sponsor there. And, I don't know. It's kind of a crazy world we're living in right now, and it's changed so much in the last 25 years since I've been doing this. It's coming, and they've tried to push it, through, but it's coming. And we'll do our research on it and do the best that I know how. Just like I think, that was always a great thing about Coach Saban. He always adapted to the new things that came down and made those adaptations. But I also think at the end that was what did him in, because it became about me and the money and the me. Had what I heard 20 meetings with players that were as always about what, how much more money can I get this next year, and so it never was about that for him. And, so.
It makes it, it's making a difference in a lot of things. And I hate the thought of it coming. We talked about high school sports being the purest form now left in some of this. And if it creeps its way in.
And for us in our sport, for football, it's the only one left that you can't go and play on other teams.
Yeah.
Like fall ball and travel ball and club volleyball and rec, and so we're it. Now there's 7-on-7, but it ain't the 11-on-11, and so we're holding on to that as well. The true, I think it's the greatest team sport, in my opinion, where everybody has to do their job in unison together. And so we're holding on to that.
Well, Coach, I know you want to get out of here. Braves they're already up to bat, so
they're already down 3-0.
Clay says this with his back to the TV.
Let me check my text.
I see it way over there.
If I haven't got a text for Brett,
it's delayed, 10 seconds away on TV.
Well, it's 0-0 at the top of the first, so you got time. So, Coach, we, as always, it's such a pleasure to talk to you and an honor, and we appreciate you taking the time. We'll be there Friday night, rooting you guys on and broadcasted live at 7 o'clock.
All right, go Jets.
Go Jets. Thanks, Coach Chad McGehee, head football coach James Clemens. We're going to take a break. Then when we come back, we'll talk some more. You're flying high with the Wingmen on PAS+.
Go to your Amazon Echo device and say, Alexa, open PAS+. and hear the Wingmen along with coverage of James Clemens football in crystal clear quality all season long. The Wingmen will be back after this.
We know you want to look good. Chopping Blades Barbershop knows it too, and they're passionate about making their clients look great. Men, women, kids, doesn't matter. You can just walk on in their location at 7985 Highway 72 Suite 2 in Madison or call 256-325-3230. Check out Chopping Blades on Facebook too. Chopping Blades Barbershop.
Local sports are brought to you in part by Limestone County Commission Chairman Colin Daly. Visit the County Commission page at limestonecounty-al.gov to keep up with what's going on in the county and find out what ranks us in the top 5% in the state. You can also call Colin at 256-233-6400 or on his cell phone at 256-800-4544.
At Walk On Sports Bistro, our love for the game, community, and heart of a walk-on make you feel like family the moment you walk in. Wings, shrimp, and burgers made from scratch, wall-to-wall TVs, and signature drinks. Founded by two LSU walk-ons, Walk On Sports Bistro brings the cuisine, the culture, and the community to life. Always fun, never forced, and our doors are open to anyone. Walk On Sports Bistro, 8368 Highway 72 West in Madison. Walk On Sports Bistro.
One of the worst feelings you can have is that of being stranded. Well, BT's Towing, Tire, and Truck Repair makes that a thing of the past with 24/7 towing services and roadside assistance in the northern Alabama and southern Tennessee areas. But that's not all. They also offer truck and trailer repair, mobile welding, brake service and repair, new and used tires, and other major and minor repairs. Their name says it all. BT's Towing, Tire, and Truck Repair. For 24/7 response, call 497-8234. That's 497-8234. BT's Towing, Tire, and Truck Repair.
You can't spell Wingmen without the letters W-I-N, and the Wingmen podcast has plenty of ways to win. How about a bucket and a bite from Madison Golf Center? Go to jcwingmen.net and enter your name. Then we'll pick from the online entries and give away a gift card good for a bucket of balls and lunch at the grill. Bucket and a bite from Madison Golf Center and the Wingmen podcast.
The Wingmen podcast is back now on PAS Plus.
Welcome back to the Wingmen. I am Coach Bradley Kimbrough, along with Clay Freak Daddy Coleman, and joining us back on the mic is the captain, Kirk Pierce. Bring it on in, Captain.
Man, I tell you, you have like 4 Coke Zeros and sit and have a great conversation with Coach McGehee, and you got to take a bio break, man.
On a plane, does a pilot use the bathroom?
I would.
Can they?
I've seen them. Yeah, they lock down.
Kind of like the baseball trips we took in high school. Coach used to say, "Bring your Gatorade bottles, boys."
I tell you, man,
but we ain't stopping.
It's such a slick floor here at Walk On.
You got to be careful.
Yeah, but it's still
similar
great food.
Similar to the floor with the Havoc. Oh yeah, by the way, Kirk, since you joined us late, we do have Johnny Johnson on the line.
Do we now,
yeah.
Coach Johnson? Where you at, man?
Yes, sir. I'm in Orange Beach, sitting on the back deck of the house we're renting.
Wow. Toughing it.
And I've actually got another guest with me. I got Coach Wade Waldrop, former Jet, with us.
What? Coach Wade Waldrop's? Coach.
What's going on, guys?
Hey, man. Welcome aboard, man. Coach Waldrop's on here with us. And Coach Johnson, well, I'm a little bit shocked right now. I don't know. I don't have any questions prepared.
You surprised?
A little bit. I don't know.
You didn't guess who that was going to be?
I did not.
His football expert from the beach.
I should have put 2 and 2 together.
Hey, look, I don't know about that. But we've got a really good view right now.
I'm not a smart man, but I wasn't able to put that. Well, I can promise you, your view is. I mean, we're looking at the Walk-Ons Sports Bistro, Coach. We need to get you up here and treat you to a little bit of dinner up here at Walk-Ons.
Man, I'd do anything for a free meal. Drive anywhere.
The OG.
The OG, wow. Well, we just had Coach McGehee on, and we were just talking about, Friday night playing Spain Park and the things that he was able to see, kind of the lessons learned. Not a whole, I mean, just in terms of watching them play two top teams in the state from a 7A and from a 6A perspective. And he was really pleased. He talked about not being into moral victories. And I think as coaches, I know Brad was nodding his head, and I would assume that the two of you feel the same way. It's not a moral victory, and you want to get better each and every time.
Look, there's no doubt you want to play the very best, because when it comes time to win a playoff game and make a run, you've got to be tested. And sometimes that region doesn't do that for you across the board. You've got to leave it, and you got to go find some teams that will get you ready to go.
Well, Coach Johnson, you mentioned the other night, I remember in the broadcast where we talked about Spain Park and their offense. I mean, they've got some Division I players that have got a lot of offers. We kind of went through some of those. But as far as one of the things I walked away with Friday night was the quarterback for Spain Park is a Clemson commit as a junior. And you can definitely tell, and I think we did a really good job of handling him from a defensive standpoint, but you can definitely tell that everybody – thinks their kid is next level. This kid was next level.
When you see it, you know
the
difference.
It. You can definitely see it. I don't know, Coach Waldrop, if you've had a chance to see that kid from Spain Park, but he's a special quarterback.
Yeah, look, we were in the region with him, the last 2 years, and you had the Seaborn kid in the region as well, and just watching those guys up close. Brock was, to me, from a preparation standpoint, he was the better guy. Just in terms of, the skill and the arm strength, kind of having everything. Trent's surrounded by some really good players there at Thompson. But, I know Brock is too. Spain Park's got a really, really good team. And, they've been waiting for this year for a while. I can tell you that group's been playing together for a while.
They were really talented. Coach Waldrop, this is Bradley Kimbrough. And some of our –
Has he met you before?
I don't think we've ever met. I don't remember, honestly. But some of our listeners may not know – but you were here for a long time. How many years were you here, Coach?
Yeah, man. We did 8 there. We did 8. 8 of the best years of our lives. It was amazing.
Well, I mean, you came in, and we talked we had Lane Rinks on the first or second show.
Yeah.
And, Lane talked about a lot of that coming in with you. You guys, you're the second head coach in school history. It was just the second year the school was open. And he's talked about a lot of the struggles that you guys went through in those 8 years, especially those first 2 or 3. And, I mean, I know you keep up with James Clemens. I know you still look kind of check and see how things are going. And, of course, you talk to Coach Johnson all the time. How much have things changed in the past 10 years in James Clemens?
Wow, it's crazy. Yeah, it is just crazy. And I'm in a similar situation now, so I can smile and really reflect. But, those early years, I know when I got hired in March, and that first March, you're walking down the hall with kids wearing Bob Jones sweatshirts. That was a big the first homecoming parade, you could pretty much talk to everybody in the parade line on your way through and just kind of chuckling and laughing. But to see what it's become and the respect, the level of commitment, it's amazing. It's a great place.
Well, you had a lot to do with that. I mean, this is not going to be a respected program and a respected place if you weren't having some level of success, and you guys did that over your time here.
Yeah, we got there at a good time. It was really unique, and I think Coach Johnson would say the same thing. We kind of had the one thing that was working against us, being new and not having a lot, really ended up becoming an ally for us. We grew. We were able to hire really good people along the way every year. When the school across town was kind of losing units, we were gaining units, and administration was doing a good job of hiring people. But nobody ever said this is how we've always done it. And whenever we decided we wanted to do something or try something, from an administrative standpoint, Dr. Clayton and those guys, they felt like if it was best for our kids, they were going to let us do it. And, it was really fun. There were a lot of people that, that said yes a lot of times to make that thing happen and make that thing go. And obviously a lot of good players came through there as well.
Coach, that's the thing I love most about our school system. Nobody says this is the way we've always done it. That's the worst phrases in any organization, and they're still open to pretty much whatever you want to try.
So, Coach Waldrop, I have a question. Do you think you can help us get a table put back in the press box? Johnny can fill you in on that.
I can tell you before I was leaving, we were trying to get a new press box. Need to get on Mr. Terrell and get that press box upgraded.
Brad's giving us he's saying no go.
Gotta work on it, but it's got to come up to code from the 70s. It's got to have an elevator in it this time.
No doubt.
Yeah, we just know that one time one game we were there, and I think you were the coach at the time, and we were there one week, and there was a table, and then the other school was the home team the following week, and we weren't there. And then that next week we came in, the table was gone. It had been completely crushed and demolished.
Oh, it's not gone. It's in the hallway.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, it's in the hallway.
Coach Waldrop, you want to see something entertaining?
The wall on the floor.
Coach Waldrop, if you want to see something entertaining, watch Johnny sprint up and down them steps 3 times during a Friday night.
I'd like to see the end of that. Yeah, it'd be great. It's kind of like me trying to get to the beach and back carrying everything.
You come down here, modern day Pat Mule, man. It's just loaded on, take it in and out.
Hey, send us a picture. That would be good to go on the social media page.
Yeah, we'll put that on the social
Coach
media.
Johnson looking like a pack mule dragging that travel ball wagon behind him.
Those
missed our opportunity. I'm leaving in the morning. So.
That movie John Candy, remember Summer Rental when they were
oh yeah,
sunburned and dry.
Coach Waldrop, how's your season going?
It's going well. We're getting better every week. I think we are 4-2. We're 4-2. I think 4-2. Playing better. We have a long way to go. So many similarities to this program. The early days of James Clemens from a mentality standpoint. So very familiar with what needs to be done. Get to working hard. Community great. We've got a long way to go. We're at that point. Chad and those guys, Coach McGehee and those guys. They're going out every day and they're trying to get better. We're at that point in our program where every day we get together and meet, we can get better. Like we have so much room to improve and to grow and just to improve overall. So, just hopefully we keep making those strides over the next couple of weeks. Our schedule's back in loaded, so we pick up the meat of it the last 3 weeks.
Oh well, that's fun. There's nothing like looking forward to playing better competition on the back end.
So you spent a lot of time in 7A. 7A is still relatively new in the state. I mean, it hasn't been around quite as long, but you've been 7A coach for a number of years. What's it like for you to go down into the 4A? What's that with the players? I mean, you got a lot of kids playing both sides. Whatnot.
Yeah. So I tell you, you have to. The preparation is different. It's different. Now, the standards and the expectations are not, for how you're going to operate for work, how you're going to kick up, all those things don't change. They don't waver. But in terms of, prepping all your kids to be able to play multiple positions is a must because you're going to rob Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah.
And, there were times in 7A where we had to do that. Especially when we were at Florence. I mean, we really but, if you lose one on our, you're losing 3. You're losing an offensive kid, defensive kid, and a special teams kid. And, so practice looks a little different, organization a little different. A couple guys that were with me, Wiley McKellar, Steve Davis, our offensive coordinator. They've coached at this level. They've coached kids very similar to the ones that we have. We've got a big experience with that. Guys that understand the play.
Well, I tell you, I know you guys are having a good time down there at the beach, and not going to lie, I think the 4 of us up here at Walk-Ons wish we were down there with you.
That'd be the hardest part for me. You lose a game, it's like, do I go home or to the Floribama? Where am I going?
Yes, you do. Yes, that answer's yes.
The answer's yes.
I mean, it makes it a little easier.
It is. That's the thing I tell a lot of people. Like the school side of it's the school side, and that's the same everywhere because it's kids and it's players, and parents. But boy, when you walk off campus, it is a different life, and it's a neat experience. We're excited to be here. We love our Madison people and talk to them often, and glad they're down here visiting. It's easy for us when people come to town. We just say, hey, we're coming over to y'all's house.
Well, you are. It is great to hear from you, Coach. Coach Johnson, can't wait for you to get back. Not that I'm just going to go and tell you, Clay's knocking it out of the park with us today.
I told Clay Friday night if he may kick me out of my job because I know what kind of I know what kind of guy and personality he is. I may get fired before I ever get back.
You don't have to worry about that. My wife goes, "You have enough to do."
Listen, you know how
So did mine. She said the same thing. But you see, I'm still doing it.
This is why I'm not a fan of wives.
Mine says the same thing.
I love my wife.
They say, hey, Johnny, I will tell you this real quick. You know how Tim's put together our little call sign and our little, nice little voiceovers and things that it comes out. By the way, Coach Waldrop, I don't know if you know this, but you're down there with Lone Star. So that's Lone Star. We when we're up here on the podcast. So he.
All right, good dude.
Yeah, just start referring to him as Lone Star. But Coach Johnson, Clay has like a minute music bed of just different things that it's crazy listening to that. And Tim played it for us tonight, and it's long. I don't know that anybody else gets that kind of intro.
Well,
Tim's Venmo was
guy.
Tim's Venmo was healthy.
That's his intro we use on Tailgate Talk.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I had.
I know, but I'm a little jealous, not going to lie.
By the way, Johnny, do you remember the movie Spaceballs?
I do.
Okay. Wasn't that the guy's name, Lone Star? Or was that the Winnebago that they drove around? I can't remember. It just occurred to me. I need to go back and Clay is choking on his ice now.
We're going. We don't have Stretch with us to look that up.
No statistician to look it up, but
we'll have
Clay's on it. Johnny, we'll let Clay look it up and we'll get back to you on that. And hey, look, I know you got games and stuff Friday, but if there's a chance you're going to be in town, man, we'll swing the clubs around Thursday or Friday.
The main guy, his name was Lone Star.
Lone Star.
He was the Han
You were
Solo.
the Han Solo knockoff.
He's like a big dog that has a star in his eye.
What?
No, that was John Candy. That was the sidekick.
Yeah, that was Barf.
Bill Pullman was the
Barf. Wasn't that his name?
Yes, it was. He was a Chewbacca character.
Yeah.
And Pizza the Hut. Remember Pizza the Hut?
Oh, it looks like the Padres just hit a home run. So Coach McGee's.
All right, guys, y'all enjoy the beach. Coach Waldrop, good luck to you the rest of the season.
Hey, guys, appreciate it.
Appreciate y'all. Hey, thank you, guys. All right, listen. Hey, we're going to take another break. When we come back, we'll have some more You're Flying High with the Wingmen on PAS+.
Enter your name for Bucket and a Bite at jcwingmen.net. You could pick up a gift card from Madison Golf Center good for a large bucket of balls and lunch at the grill, along with a Wingmen t-shirt from Apparel Lab. We'll be back with more of the Wingmen.
Are pests invading your home or business? Mosquitoes embedded on your property? Maybe excessive crawl space moisture has attracted unwanted visitors. Then call RedHawk Pest Control, offering residential and commercial pest control, mosquito and brown recluse management, stinging insect control, foundation vents, and many other services to North Alabama and Southern Tennessee. RedHawk aims to be more than just a service provider. They want to build a long-term relationship with each customer. Call RedHawk Pest Control at 256-975-8817. Visit them on Facebook or online at redhawkpestcontrol.com.
Whether you're an experienced golfer or a total beginner, Madison Golf Center has the largest, most up-to-date practice range in North Alabama, including a complete teaching center with the best and most experienced instructional staff available at your convenience. Madison Golf Center features the most complete driving range facility around, with a large grass tee area allowing for 100 hitting stations a day with a 14-day rotation. Open every day year-round and located at 401 Lime Quarry Road, between Waltrina and Hughes Road. Madison Golf Center.
If you're looking to make your business stand out, save yourself some time and make Apparel Lab in Madison your first call. Apparel Lab will help you grow your brand with custom t-shirts and hoodies using their unique direct-to-garment printing. Laser engraving can put your design on mugs and tumblers. Plus, they can help with custom-designed hats, stickers, banners, signs, decals, and much more. Apparel Lab. Call 344-4656 or visit them online at apparellab.inc and on Facebook and Instagram. Located in the Madison Mall Shopping Center on Old Madison Pike. Apparel Lab.
At Walk-On Sports Bistro, our love for the game, community, and heart of a walk-on make you feel like family the moment you walk in. Wings, shrimp, and burgers made from scratch, wall-to-wall TVs, and signature drinks. Founded by two LSU walk-ons, Walk-On Sports Bistro brings the cuisine, the culture, and the community to life. Always fun, never forced, and our doors are open to anyone. Walk-On Sports Bistro, 8368 Highway 72 West in Madison. Walk-On Sports Bistro.
North Alabama Gas District has provided safe, reliable, and economical natural gas service to Madison and surrounding areas of Limestone County for over 40 years. However, accidents and leaks do sometimes occur. If you smell odors similar to rotten eggs or notice other possible signs of a gas leak, such as a fire or explosion, a blowing or hissing sound, or blowing dust or bubbling water, leave the area immediately, avoid ignition sources, warn others, and from a safe location, contact us immediately at 256-772-0227. And remember to call 811 before you dig. North Alabama Gas District, we take safety seriously. Ready to show off your film IQ? Ready to show it off during James Clemens football? Maybe it sounds like trying to mix oil and water, but hey, we're just trying to have a little fun. Listen for our in-flight movie quote during James Clemens football coverage on PAS+. We'll slip in a line at some point during our play-by-play commentary, and if you can identify the movie that it's from, text the answer along with your name to 434-1PAS. That's 434-1727, and you could win a $10 credit from Honest Coffee Roasters in Madison. The in-flight movie quote from Honest Coffee Roasters and PAS+.
We're back with more of the Wingmen on PAS+.
Welcome back to the Wingmen podcast right here on PAS+. Kirk Pierce, Brad Kimbrough, Clay, Free Daddy Coleman. Free Daddy. Tim Oz Lambert, our producer extraordinaire, just heard from former head football coach at James Clemens, Wade Waldrop, and also Coach Johnny Johnson down there at the beach and enjoying their time down there and kind of rubbing it in our faces just a little bit, don't you think, Clay?
I think so. I didn't mention the drinking the mudslides or anything.
Didn't mention that at all.
And I laughed really hard when he brought up the Floribama because we spent. Well, here's the reason I went with Coach Johnson to a baseball association event back in the summer, and I met the baseball coach from Orange Beach, and he talked about like the owner of the Floribama has like a stepson or something playing baseball, and so they end up doing some different things together. Maybe end up. I think he offered him a trail, or something. I
so whatever.
Remember.
Yeah, y'all got down there.
But there's a connection.
Sure.
And so I immediately thought about that when Clay brought that up. I thought, yeah.
Too many of my vices down there.
There's probably a lot of that's
bourbon
taking place.
And good seafood. I'd either be fat or drunk.
Or both. I mean,
so don't they do like
don't discriminate. Right, I mean, go all in.
Don't they do like a fish toss or something like the mullet?
The mullet toss, Floribama. Yeah, Floribama's got a guy, Big Earl, Alabama Big Earl, that good friend of mine. I used to have him on my radio show all the time, and he's over there at the Floribama warming them up every Friday and Saturday night. That he's a singer. It's out there. It's one of the. If you've never seen him live, it's one of the best things you'll ever go down there. But he's one of my favorite songs. He's got a song called "Thank You Mississippi." He talks about thank you Mississippi for making Alabama look good.
Well, they do. I mean, there's nothing like leading the country in obesity and lasting education.
Right.
And, all the things that West Virginia couldn't beat them in.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, here
but we're just a little better than the state to the west of us. That's all it is.
Hey, we're not last.
Here at Walk On Sports Bistro on Highway 72 in Madison. And normally we do this segment at the beginning as we do our takeoff, but we're headed into our final approach, our final two segments of the night. But with Clay here, I think, normally we'll have, someone from Walk-Ons read this, but Clay, I know you're not familiar with, or you might be, if I know you listen. Yeah. So we have our AI-generated top 5 list. Okay. And so tonight we have
from the home office in Coffee Pot, Alabama.
Coffee Pot, Alabama. So these are, you ready, Tim? I think we're going to try to do this. These are the top 5 AI-generated top 5 rejected top 5 lists.
Can we go 5 to 1? Okay.
5 to 1. Here we go.
Number 5.
Top 5 uses for stale bread.
That was a rejected list.
That was a rejected list.
Okay. All right.
Number 4.
Top 5 cauliflower recipe.
Oh, man.
I mean, I like cauliflower, but if you ever gone in your house after it's cooked, it smells like garbage.
I'm not going to have that problem because I don't allow it in the house.
That and broccoli, two of the worst smells.
Brussels sprouts.
Well, that's
and they put buffalo hot sauce on it and say it's chicken. It's not.
No, it's not.
It's not.
And then you chop it up and then you try to pass it off as rice.
Mashed potatoes. It's not.
Come on.
You're right.
All right. Yeah.
Number 3.
Top 5 paper, scissors strategies.
Rock,
paper, scissors. Yeah, rock, paper, scissors. Yeah.
So I guess if we're going to talk strategies, if we had a competition this Friday night, if we were going to play Florence in rock, paper, scissors, what would be our strategy?
It'd be a short conversation.
You always go with paper. Paper covers rock, but scissors cut paper. What do you do, Brad?
I don't know.
Where do you come out of the game? Could you do dynamite?
I don't think you can do dynamite. Do you do dynamite?
Clay's got a good point. I mean,
rock, paper, scissors. I'm going with dynamite. Which finger do you hold up?
You do the thumb.
It depends on who your opponent is.
Different kind of dynamite.
Well, all right, let's keep going.
Number 2.
Top 5 funny nicknames for grasshoppers.
You know what? I was going to say Jiminy, and then the end of that one comes out as cricket. So that doesn't work.
So he's not a grasshopper.
So top 5.
I don't know any grasshoppers.
So
grasshopper is a nickname.
They would always call the karate guys a young grasshopper.
Isn't there a drink called grasshopper?
Young grasshopper.
Isn't there a drink called grasshopper? The grasshopper?
I don't know. You're talking to a guy that doesn't drink much.
Wasn't it like on... Was it Big Bang where he would drink the Big Bang Theory?
I think so. You're right.
Grasshopper?
I think so.
All right, and then number 1.
Number 1.
Top 5 words that almost rhyme with blister.
Almost rhyme with blister.
Twister? I don't know that kind of rhyme.
Twister?
I don't know. That's our top 5 AI rejected top 5 list.
I can see why they were rejected.
That's awful. That is awful.
I don't even say the word blister. That's a
blister. I got a blister one time, and I was right there on my wrist. It was just the weirdest thing. I was like 8 or 9 years old, and I remember going to after school, and the teacher was like, "That's an awful blister," and I was like, I didn't know what to do, and she says, "We need to pop it." And I'm like, no, absolutely not.
You're not touching that.
You're not touching that. So I see her over there lighting up a needle, and with a lighter she happened to have in her back pocket because I think she smoked.
Well, I thought you were talking about the needle. Like most people don't walk around carrying needles.
Well,
a lot of people have lighters.
What kind of dang school were you at?
Well, I was in Huntsville. It was close to...
I mean, look, my English teacher in 11th grade left every class period to smoke. But I don't think she carried around a sewing needle.
But see, okay, that takes me back to another thing. Wasn't there like the teacher's lounge was all growing up?
Man, used to be, yes. You used to open that door and just smoke bellowing out of the teacher's lounge.
People, like my kids.
Now you can't smoke within 500 yards of a campus.
Yeah. I remember I told my kids back when I was in high school that we had a smoking section for high school students at the time. And, I mean, 17. As long as you had a permission slip from your parents, you could smoke at the smoking
generation before that. I think my grandparents were smoking in like 6th grade in the bathroom breaks. You know,
we also had shotguns in the back of the racks of our trucks.
We did. There was a whole different scenario. Yeah, I mean, so how times have changed.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
quickly.
Now it's time for a different segment right here, where we get to nominate a student, an athlete, administrator, or anybody from James Clemens family for a job well done. And you go online to jcwingmen.net. Nominate them for our weekly RedHawk Top Flight Award, right? And that basically that award winner gets a gift card from Walk On Sports Bistro in Madison, and they also get a Wingmen T-shirt. And it's one of those things. Last week, Ty Doty was our
Ty was a great one.
He was a great one. He was the first student or athlete that had been nominated, student athlete.
Correct.
Just go in and combine it. That had been nominated for the RedHawk Top Flight Award winner. And this week's winner, something we're going to bring them in just a second. So Tim, let's go ahead and get this going.
The RedHawk Top Flight Award.
So this week's RedHawk Top Flight Award winner is none other than our guest host himself, Clay.
Did you know you were the RedHawk?
I had no idea. No, I had no clue.
You had no idea.
I thought he'd start looking around at some point like, I don't see anybody else coming in.
You know, you've already called people on the phone. Tim's gotten high tech. I think it'd be kind of lazy if they won something and wouldn't come in, though.
It was weird, yeah. Well, Clay, that was one of the things.
I was hoping it would be a surprise.
Yeah, and it is. And Clay, it's one of those things where you were nominated, and obviously it's for all of the work that you do, not just at James Clemens, but at other schools here, Liberty. You do, and that's a feeder school into James Clemens, and all the stuff that you do. I mean, it great job and well deserved.
Well, for people who don't know, tell them some of the things you do. I mean, you're at You're at half the sporting events that I'm
What does he
at.
not do?
That's actually, that'd probably be easier to.
Listen, I was at a conference back in August at the Von Braun.
Yeah.
And Space and Missile Defense, you didn't know this. And I was there on the floor working in the booth for the group I work for. And all of a sudden I hear this voice come over, and it's a time countdown. Basically, we're about to shut the booth or something like that, or there's like a lunch or whatever. And I was like, let me know. There's Clay.
Yeah. Right. I've parlayed myself into a lot of things that I probably shouldn't be able to do. But the fact that I won't say no to a lot of things and enjoy it. Now, it's been really cool. I can tell you the story about James Clemens. That was
absolutely.
So growing up in Kentucky, I was a huge Kaywood Ledford. He did Kentucky basketball. He also did the Kentucky Derby. Mm-hmm. And I remember my dad took me when I was in 8th grade. We went to the Kentucky State Fair, and it was similar to something like y'all do, where WHAS was broadcasting live, and they had Kaywood Ledford and a guy named Terry Miners and some different radio people. And I fell in love with radio from the beginning. Had all my radio career, done all the different jobs and everything. But I was going to church at the Rock.
Yeah.
And, Pat Aubie was the pastor there, but he was also the voice of James Clemens football.
Okay.
And then COVID hit, and he came up to me and he says, I want you to fill in for me if you would like to. And he said kind of what Johnny was saying. He's like, but I really feel like when I do this or let you do this, I'm done.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you talking about? He says, well, would you like to be the announcer for James Clemens football? And knowing that I'd always wanted to be the announcer for Kentucky Wildcats. I've had numerous opportunities to do those kind of things, but when I got a family, you just stayed here. So I couldn't go anywhere. So there was jobs that I turned down. I had the opportunity to go work for the Predators. I had different things, but I stayed here with my family. So the James Clemens deal was like, how cool is that? And I never really thought about it because I really didn't think at the time that my kids were going to be really that big into football. I had no idea the way his success would be at all. And so it just stuck. And then what I loved about it, and it had to do with, and this as a coach, Coach Kimbrough, that there's just not a lot of help.
No.
And people that they find are usually people that would volunteer. Well, for me, it was like, so I get to be the announcer, and I get to pick the music, and I get to work on a jumbo. I would never get to do that at Kentucky.
Yeah.
Somebody else would be doing that. So for me, it was like, okay, I can do this. And at that time, Mr. Watts and Chad, you've met Chad. Chad's like, you just run with it. It's yours, go,
Yeah.
And so it's just been fun because a lot of times when you do this stuff, someone's telling you how you have to do it.
Sure.
So to me, it was like, okay, I get to do this, and I get to put my own kind of signature on it. So it's been fun. And I'll even say, like, the first time that I got to say Tim's name as a captain, I almost cried.
Sure.
The guys there in the booth were like, hey, hold it together, hold it together. But, I mean, I've interviewed tons of celebrities. I've done all kinds of stuff. I was in Phoenix, market number 6, the highest I could probably get. But this has been by far the coolest thing that I've been able to do. And so when I did that, then kids were in Liberty, and they're like, hey, you're doing that. Would you like to do our games? And my wife always tells me I'm the only person that I say no to. It's her. But it's just as fun, and I didn't have that. I was a small school in, Shelbyville, Kentucky, population 14,000, and we had an announcer, but he was just, the old guy that just was, can you do it this week, kind of thing. So it's been fun, and it's one of these things where I just enjoy it. And I think I've told you guys, one of the fun things that I do is 7th grade girls basketball at Liberty because they've never had anybody ever say their name.
Yeah.
And when I announce it just as if I was announcing the Chicago Bulls.
As you should, yeah.
And they're blown away.
Sure.
And last year, the couple of girls were like, hey, can you say my nickname? I'm like, sure, what's your nickname? So that's been fun. And like I said, my dream was to be on the high thing, but to me, this has been one of the coolest experiences. And it's tough. I mean, there's a lot of things where there's frustrations and things you want to do and, trying to get sound systems at a stadium and all these kind of things. But it's just been fun. And like I said, I had to go to Timothy early on and just say, hey, I'm going to do this. And he knows me. I'm usually all in. I mean, I don't mean to, but I'm going to be there. And I was like, hey, if this embarrasses you or if this, in any way, shape, or fashion would be, and he's like, no, I like it. Yeah. So it's just been cool, Like I said, to be able to do that, and it's not Kentucky, but if I can, put some things on that's kind of my fingerprint, kind of like with Coach Waldrop, those individuals that come along, and I think that, y'all have talked about on your show, everybody that you brought in, all these pieces are coming together from the staff, the principals, the coaches, different players, different things like that. For me, if I can say, hey, you know what? I've come in and I've just put my fingerprint, because I enjoy it. I mean, FaceTiming him on a day to show you my show you my intros while he's at the pool, I'm like the little kid, but it's been fun. Like I said,
it's obvious that you've had that freedom and that you have put your mark on it, because we talk about it all the time when we're at home. What a great atmosphere we have for high school football, and then people who come into Madison City Stadium, they say the same thing. They're like, wow, this is great. The Jumbotron stuff and the videos and the sound system and, the sound effects, everything that goes on. And we really notice – we get used to it being there every week, but we really notice it when we go somewhere else. We're like, man, this sucks.
Coach McGehee just talked about it. I mean, he's already prepared the kids, for this Friday night. You're going to be at Brawley, and at Brawley there's not going to be a whole lot of people compared to what you would have at Madison City School. And I don't know what kind of setup that Florence is going to have, but I would dare say it's probably not going to compare.
It ain't going to happen.
Well, I've had parents that have said, because I do the JV and freshman game too, I just bring my own sound system and set out into the stands, and I had a parent the other day said, why don't you just come and set up in the away stands and have your little speaker system? And my wife's like, no, he's going to enjoy a football game for once. He's going to get to watch it a little bit.
No, and you should.
Yeah, but you think about it, and the way I've looked at it, I tried. I played college ball one year, didn't just walk on down when I was down at Murray State. Didn't have that, but I didn't have all that stuff. And if you look at these kids, there's 1.7 million kids play high school football in the United States. When it gets to college, it goes down to about 100,000 or so. So a lot of these kids, they're never going to hear their name called ever. They're never going to see their picture on a Jumbotron. If I can do that for them and be the one that does that, that's the high school football story that they'll, I love the other night when Isaac Achenbach, he's a friend of my son's. I know that he's been wanting to do that, and when he scored, I had more fun saying, touchdown by Isaac Achenbach that I
we did the same thing.
We
you talked about the different thing. I'm very similar. You and I have a lot of similar background in terms of how we got into radio and doing some of the things that we did. You were much more successful at
it. I don't know about that. Probably made more money than I did.
Well, I doubt it.
I took the jobs for the fun.
If you're chasing money, don't go into radio.
Right.
But the thing about this is, I'm telling you, Brad, don't quit your day job.
Shut down my future.
Not because you can't do it. It's just not one of those things that. But I did the same thing going through. There was an opportunity where I had to intern at ESPN, and of course I met my wife at the time. We were dating, and I made a life choice there, and I don't regret that. But you make those decisions and those sacrifices. So then when you get this opportunity, Tim and I've been working together for, 15 plus years, on off and on through high school sports. But one of the things that I wanted to do when he and I would do this, we go do a lot of a county games. So I never really got into it was very hard to become a fan. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I don't mind that from calling a ball game perspective. But one of the things that I definitely wanted to do was get embedded into a fandom or a culture, and I think that I landed in the best spot to do that. For this is fun. This for us is fun. We get to go and live through, these things right here. This podcast, or Friday nights, or doing PA for Liberty or for James Clemens or the basketball or all that. So we get to live those things still, and even kind of tweak our skills just a little bit more too, and stay sharp. But at the end of the day, you're 100% right. When I'm calling a ball game, when we're calling a ball game on Friday night, I want those kids to go back and have a shot at listening to something. I want Achenbach to go back and say, Kirk screamed into that headset.
It's probably his ringtone right now.
Well, Doty happened. He even knew it last week when we talked about
I've talked to you guys. For me, it's an interesting part. Like when Chad was here, I'm trying to be quiet because I'm like, I'm also a parent. I can't say anything, but like, when you guys had Tim and Cam on.
Yeah.
And like with Cam, he and I've got it because he loves the fact that I say Carry by Barry.
Yeah.
I don't say his name all the time. He's like Barry with the carry or whatever, so he loves it. Well, they got into the truck. And I mean, they wouldn't shut up. They were like, Tim's like, I'd be on their show every week. That was so cool. And I'm like going, I like that you like that, but no, you're going to be better than me. You're not going to be, you have the same DNA as me. But that's the thing. Like these kind of shows, and when I said earlier that you guys are doing a great show, I didn't mean that, just pumping your tires or whatever. But that's what I've realized is that even when I had my radio show, or even like say if the Huntsville Havoc, when I've done that for this will be my 19th year, I always make it about the fans.
Right.
And so when I'm walking around the arena, they always laughed at me on some things because I'd get a kid over and I go, hey, come here, you want to yell Go Havoc? And they're like, no, yeah, come on, Go Havoc. And that kid had the most fun experience that they could ever do.
He's talking about it all day.
And that made my career go better because I didn't really feel like I was that talented. I really didn't, all those things. But it's like now parlaying into my day job, I have a day job that I shouldn't have.
Yeah.
But literally, because I've plugged myself into all these things, they're like, you could be the mayor. Because everybody. I'm like, well, I have no political aspirations, and I don't think you should have somebody to be the mayor just because everybody knows everybody.
Right.
That's not what it should be. But to me, that's the thing, and I think that you guys will see as you're growing this that everybody wants to be a VIP.
Sure.
Everybody wants to feel important, and when you take a kid and you let them have their voice for a second, it's there's an adrenaline, just like the same reason why we've done it for all these years. My wife, she talks about it. She'll say, you get nervous every single time before you go, and I said, because it's what I love doing.
Yeah.
But I want to do good. And she's like, I just don't understand. I was like, you don't understand. It's just that adrenaline rush that you get that changes it all. And you'll do, like I said, I'll do it for free. You ask me, will you come MC my event? Will you come do this? I'm just like, sure. And I'm like, my wife's like, you should say no. You should get paid more. I'm like, I'm not doing it for the money.
Nah.
So how stressed are you on Friday nights, the 15 minutes before we get the pregame festivities started, when he's spent all week cropping videos and getting Jumbotron plans up and setting his music up and getting his sound effects. So 15 minutes before pregame, how stressed out are you trying to make sure?
I'm a nervous wreck. and what bothers
I've seen before you say it, because I've seen you before. It was the first game of the season this year. It would have been the first time we had the Jumbotron. And there was an issue. I won't say what the issue was, but I saw your face.
The issue's going on for about 8 months.
Well, I hate it. I won't. But I'm a very detailed, structured guy, and the things that I'll hate is when it's like so and so's here, and then somebody will come in the booth, go, "We're doing this tonight. Nobody told you about it," and I'm just like, "Can you plug your cell phone?" And I'm just like, my inner soul is leaving my body because I'm just like, "No, that's not how this works." We gotta have,
I needed this on Wednesday.
Better. My latest thing is, it's funny, in the booth, my youngest son, Wesley, is helping me run the Jumbotron.
Yep.
And he and I are exactly alike, except I've got the later, but my friends have told me he's you.
Yeah.
So, we clash because he's like, well, I want to do this. Let's play this. And I'm like, no. And so that's been the challenge for me, is like even working with him, where I'm like, I love your creativity. I love everything you're doing, but you're driving me nuts.
I didn't tell this story on the air that night, but I went over and talked to you before the homecoming game. And I can't remember what the question was, but Wesley reaches up toward the computer for something.
Oh,
and Clay
you told me that.
About smacked that hand away. Don't touch that. Don't open that. And he looked at me and he said, that's going to flash up the homecoming queen on the job. And this is well before kickoff.
I know,
and he's like, Miss Miller's going to kill us. You better not look at. Don't touch that. Don't do that. Don't. So whatever you do, do not click
funny.
on that.
Yeah, no, it's and
he
told
me that.
And he's me. Like, I built all these little Jumbotron pieces that kind of pick on the other teams.
Yeah.
And he likes those, and they're funny.
Everybody likes those, by the way.
But his timing is not good. He hasn't learned it yet, right? So we're like up by a touchdown. Let's play the one where they're slamming the Hulk is slamming. I'm like, we're up 1 touchdown. We can't do that yet, but let's wait. And then at the end, when we were beating Bob Jones, he goes, let's play them all. And I'm like, we can only pick a couple. But, it's been, like I said, but no, I am. And I think it's like anybody. You want to do the right thing. You want to do good. You want to, and, I had a lady, and to me, I live for exactly what she said. I had a mom that came up to me at the JV and freshman game. My wife was like shaking her head. She's like, oh my God, you've pumped his tires so much on this. But she just came up and she said the very same thing. She goes, I've noticed that you were here. And at first I was like, this is weird. He's just sitting out in the stands doing this or whatever. And she goes, but then we went and did the first away game. She goes, it was the most miserable experience that I have ever went to. They didn't have music. They didn't do anything. And she goes, you just do it. And then she's like, how much do they pay you? And I was like, I don't want to talk about that.
I bet it had to, she went up after her because I did that first one for him because he was out of town.
Oh,
she was like, oh, that dude sucked.
That guy was terrible.
I know. When Kirk went, I was texting Coach Foy, and Coach Foy was like,
is he coming?
Well, first he said, no, first he goes, he's amazing. And then I was like, well, good. It's good to know that if I do leave, that I got somebody that I can.
My wife won't let me.
And Foy was like, not a chance. You're not going in.
End of discussion. My wife won't let me.
Yeah. Clay, we've established the atmosphere that you set up for kids, for the fans, et cetera, but you do way more than that. You serve on 2 booster clubs, right?
Yes, I do.
You help every sport.
Right.
You've helped me. You've done work for softball, and you help numerous sports. There's a lot of work behind the scenes that people don't know that you do, and I know you don't do it for the credit.
Right.
You're doing it for the kids. You're doing it to help the programs, but it's all the work that you put into just Friday nights is one thing, but there's a lot of other things that you do to help out the school and the athletic programs. And I think that's what people recognize. Maybe the average person wouldn't know, but that's what people recognize about you.
Well, and I just realized I was blown away. You had Doug Haygood on, Doug and Roger Taylor and those guys that run all this stuff. I've told them, I'm like, and they don't want it.
No.
But I'm like, what I would love to do is have a video camera, and let's follow the full from Friday morning.
If you follow them from 11
all the
on
way,
Friday.
And then,
to 11
taking down
Friday
senior
night.
banners on a Saturday morning to going and cleaning up everything.
Yeah.
Nobody would realize
Nobody has
what
a clue
all
what
goes
those
into
guys
it. And I feel like there's just a gaping hole, in everyone. I mean, we talked about softball. I don't want to say no because I'm like, I know you're, a lone ranger by yourself doing some of this stuff. And you have parents that help out, but you don't have the parents that once their kids are done, they're like, serve my contractual duty. I'm done.
Well, and we've talked about this as well. A lot of parents want to help, don't necessarily know what to do.
Right.
And if you sat down and tried to give them a list, it would overwhelm them, and they're like, never mind, I'm out. I'm out, right?
Yeah.
So what we need is where you have taken on that initiative and really taken a big part of that. There's still 15 other holes that need to be filled by other people, right? There's no way one of us can do it. And it's crazy how much, and we've talked about the parent interaction, or not parent interaction, but parent involvement that you really need for every sports program. So if there is a parent out there that wants to get involved in their kid's sport and help out in some way, what advice do you give them?
To me, the one they're fighting, we talked about the other day, is that the new thing is and I don't want to say mom because it's not just the moms, but the Venmo parents.
Yeah.
That literally are like, I'd like to help you, but I don't want to give up time. Here's what money do you need?
Yeah.
The one thing that I would say to a parent, and I've seen it, and there's so many stories out there. I'll talk about it. Micah Douglas is one of Timothy's best friends. Micah's had some situations where I've kind of become like an uncle in a sense. There's those relationships. You talk to Doug and Roger. There was James Clemens football players. They were cooking. They were thinking about quitting, and a kid comes up and says, "Could I get 2 extra plates for my sisters because they don't have food?"
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's the stuff that you don't see.
No.
So if you're a parent, number one, be involved in your kid's life. I've had more fun that the fact that Timothy and Wesley have allowed me to kind of ride co-pilot with him, especially with Timothy. I never had that kind of success. So, I'm going and I'm taking him. Everybody's like, you're just a great dad, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, hey, I got to go see Georgia.
Yeah, I'm living the ride too.
I never got this.
Yeah.
So, to me, I would just say you need to be engaged with your kids. And I don't know what changed. My dad was the one that I'll give full credit to who I am. He worked blue collar, he was 8th grade education, worked at Ford Motor Company. He would always tell me, I don't know why, he passed away in 2017. He would never tell me, but he would always say, hey, I won't be at the game tonight. Good luck.
Yeah.
But then every night he was there. And I'm like, why don't you just tell me you're going to be there? But it was that was the thing that fired me up. I look at that as, I want to be engaged in their life.
Yeah.
There's more fun if you can just do it and not be the crazy parent that gets into fights and yells and screams and does that. But if you can get in there, it's the most fun you'll ever have. And like I said, and these kids need us now more than ever to have someone in their lives. And the coaches have more time. The teachers have more time with your kids than you do.
Yep.
And I've just kind of fallen into several kids in my time with James Clemens that I'm there, and the kid will come up and go, "Hey, Tim's dad, can you help me with my video?" And I'm like, "Sure, I'll do that." And there you can fall into those stories, every 100%. Single thing. So I mean, if that would be my advice is, if you really want to make a difference and you really want to do something, be there, get involved, and it doesn't matter what your involvement is. Yeah. Get in there, because I've had more fun. I'm dreading. I'm probably still going to be like Roger and Doug. I'm going to be that guy that, they're going to have to kick me out in a sense to help as much as I can, but just get involved, because there's so many people that aren't.
Well, and just to play off of that as a dad, one of the things that I tried to teach my kids, and I've got a kid that's 30. He'll be 30 in January. I got a daughter that both of them, my oldest is about to get married next year, and then my daughter is married, and she's about to turn 28, and then I have a 16-year-old. And one of the things that I consistently told them growing up was, my job as a dad is to make sure that you are better than your mom and I were for you. We want to raise better human beings. And I think with and this is going to sound really deep, but with what we're doing within James Clemens and with what we're doing within the community, what you're doing, what we're trying to do on the radio, and you as a coach, is we want to set up the next students or whoever else comes in and takes our place. We want to set them up to be better. Mm-hmm. I want whoever comes in and takes over for us on Friday nights to be better than we were. I don't know if they can, but I want them to be better than us. And I think with what's going on at James Clemens and the community and some of these kids that are wanting to be involved, I mean, come on, stretch. Dude, seriously, that's a student who wants to be involved in what we're doing, and we're excited to have him. And I think that's what you're talking about. Whoever comes in, I hope that they roll me out, and I would love that. I'm still 60-something years old, going into my 70s, still doing this. But whoever comes in next, I want them to know that I have set them up for success with this.
Well, I'm chasing. One thing that I'll let y'all know, and I think we talked about the brand, the culture, everything that's in that whole thing. We're a part of that too.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And one thing that I hate is when you go and look on AL.com, which I don't know who, people want to go look at that kind of stuff anymore, but it's like top 10 toughest, best environments in North Alabama.
Yeah.
And it's like Hartselle. And I'm like, maybe it is, but I want James Clemens.
Absolutely.
And even the same thing, even though probably people will get mad at me at this, but like, don't want to say the names or whatever, but there were some people like, well, we can't do this because James Clemens, and you got Bob Jones, you got stuff. And I looked at these people and I said, I want to play the stuff at the Bob Jones game so that the Bob Jones whoever goes, that makes me so mad. Yeah. Why did they play that? And I will be disappointed if they don't come back at us next year with their production. That's what I want. And lift the whole thing up to where it's like Friday nights at James Clemens or Bob Jones, it should be, when these people come here, they're like, what in the world is going on?
And dread coming here to play.
Absolutely. Yeah. I got one thing that I wanted to – I have been wanting to do this with every school that I've ever called games for. There is a song, and it's by a group called Volbeat, and it's called A Warrior's Call. And I want you to go listen to the intro to that and tell me if that's not something
that could play. Absolutely.
It could play right before the kids run onto the field, and then goes right into Top Gun.
Yeah.
What we do. It's just this whole. You've already got the whole setup with Buffer doing the that, and that's an awesome thing too. That plays on the jumbotron. But there's so many things, and I would just love to see that. And also, I want to have a team that's called the Rhinos and have a Rhino stampede.
Well, there's so many things. I was the one that came in, for the first year and said, hey, with Chick-fil-A, and said we need to have somebody jump out and deliver the game ball coming out of a helicopter. And you do know it's a high school football game.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, and it should have, and it's just built up. This year we had 3.
I know.
I've been dying. Eventually it's going to happen. We're going to have a flyover.
Oh, I think we can do that next year.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean,
I think that'd be
but
easy.
it's one of these things where people have stepped back and been like,
maybe you could get the cows to.
The Chick-fil-A cows.
I'll give you a little inside stuff. The guys at Skydive Alabama are, how do I say this politically correct? They're crazy. Okay, the guys that jump out of planes, and the guy goes,
gotta be a little.
And the guy goes, Chick-fil-A said, it'd be cool if we had a cow jump out. He goes, I'll do it. And I'm like, I would not jump out in that big, bulky mask. He's like, I don't care.
Yeah, hey, if he's up for it, I say it's a show, all part of the show.
Then they showed me a video of them. One guy, they had a Mr. Potato Head. They jumped out of like 5 or 6 of them. One of them jumps out with the plain Mr. Potato Head. They're coming down. Each person had a part, and they built the Mr. Potato Head in the air.
That's awesome.
I'm like, y'all are nuts. But like I said, but that's just the stuff. It's like, let's make it happen. Let's do, we'll play the songs.
I was thinking more about the real cows like they've got. Commercial.
Oh, Peter would be shutting you down, Tim.
It'd be my last week.
Yeah. That might be all of our
last week.
So listen, you can download a copy of this episode of The Wingmen or listen to it on demand by going to jcwingmen.net. There's a streaming schedule of all of our James Clemens games, too. I think it's time for a break, but before we do that, Clay, we want to congratulate you on being our RedHawk Top Flight Award winner. Thank you.
The RedHawk Top Flight Award.
Hey, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, and we're going to have our landing and close it out tonight. You're listening to the Wingman Podcast right here on PAS+.
Nominate an athlete, student, administrator, or another member of the James Clemens family for a job well done by going to jcwingmen.net and filling out the form for the RedHawk Top Flight Award. They could win a gift card from Walk-On Sports Bistro along with a Wingmen t-shirt from Apparel Lab, and at the end of the season, we'll draw from all the recipients for a year of service from RedHawk Pest Control. The Wingmen will be back after this.
Here's what's on the Jets' radar. On Thursday, varsity volleyball will travel to West Morgan. Varsity football will be at Florence on Friday. On Saturday, varsity volleyball will play at Athens High School in the Janet Latham Invitational, and cross-country teams will run in the Jesse Owens Classic in Oakville. Freshman and JV football will be hosting Florence on Monday. Then next Tuesday, JV and varsity volleyball will be on the road for tri-matches at Buckhorn. We'll be back after this with more of the Wingmen.
Local sports are brought to you in part by Limestone County Commission Chairman Colin Daly. Visit the County Commission page at limestonecounty-al.gov to keep up with what's going on in the county and find out what ranks us in the top 5% in the state. You can also call Colin at 256-233-6400 or on his cell phone at 256-800-4544.
We know you want to look good. Chopping Blades Barbershop knows it too, and they're passionate about making their clients look great. Men, women, kids, doesn't matter. You can just walk on in their location at 7985 Highway 72 Suite 2 in Madison or call 256-325-3230. Check out Choppin' Blades on Facebook too. Choppin' Blades Barbershop.
Since 2014, Honest Coffee Roasters has believed that coffee should be both delicious and of the highest quality. Full-service craft coffee shops locally owned in Madison and Huntsville, they source their coffee directly from farmers around the world, so they know the quality in each cup. And not only coffee, breakfast, lunch, acai bowls, and seasonal treats, too. Order online at honesthsv.coffee. Honest Coffee Roasters, located at 92 Shorter Street in Madison and 114 Clinton Avenue East, number 106 in Huntsville. Honest Coffee Roasters.
Athens Utilities comprises Athens Electric, Athens Gas, and Athens Water Services. Together, we are committed to providing reliable and affordable electricity, natural gas, and water and wastewater services. We operate as part of the City of Athens, and just like our city's motto of Athens is classic, Southern, character, we believe in supporting what makes our community special. And that includes local sports. Call 233-8750. Come by our office at 508 South Jefferson Street or look for the link online at athensal.us.
Takes a snap. He's going to fake the pitch. He's at the 20, the 10. He's going to recover. Touchdown, James Clemens.
Be listening for James Clemens High School football this season as the Jets take on the best in Class 7A competition. You can hear every featured game streamed live online at pasnetwork.net, on your Amazon Echo device by saying, Alexa, open PAS Plus, or on your PAS Plus app, and later on demand. You can also hear the replays at Sunday afternoons on WKAC Radio. Join us for exciting coverage of James Clemens Jets football this season from Play Action Sports.
You're flying with the Wingmen on PAS Plus.
Welcome back to the Wingmen Podcast right here on PAS Plus, live at Walk-On Sports Bistro on Highway 72 in Madison. The Captain Kirk Pierce, Brad Homebrew Kim Brew, Clay Freak Daddy Coleman, and our producer extraordinaire, Tim, the wonderful and powerful Oz Lambert, producer extraordinaire, sitting here with you as we go into our final segment. It's called The Landing, as we start to bring everything home. And there's so many things we wanted to talk about. We'll get into a couple of those things here in just a minute, but I think it's time now for our Bucket and Bites winner. Register your name at jcwingmen.net for the Bucket and a Bite. You get a gift card for Madison Golf Center, good for a bucket of balls and lunch at the grill. Plus, you get a Wingmen t-shirt from Apparel Lab. And tonight's Bucket and Bite winner, Matt Kimball. Matt, congratulations. You are our Bucket and Bite winner from Madison Golf Center. You get a gift card for a bucket of balls and lunch at the grill over there at Madison Golf Center. Plus, you get a Wingmen t-shirt, which, by the way, everybody is talking about and everybody wants. Everybody wants one. Those kids come in on each week. We get these student athletes. They come in and they are just they're holding them up. They're fired up. And wear it. I tell them, wear it with pride when you go in, and tell them if they go, where'd you get that? Well, you got to get on the Wingmen podcast.
Well, you don't have to be a winner. You can go online, wingmen.net.
Wingmen. Yes, jcwingmen.net.
jcwingmen.net.
Yeah, you'll get it.
Yeah, I'm just on there talent, guys.
You're learning. You don't have everything written out in front of you.
Clay, I try not to plug anything because I mess up the social media handles. I mess up the websites.
You can follow us on MySpace.
Go to jcwingmen.net and you can order your T-shirt or your hoodie. I just got my hoodie in the other day, and it is nice.
Wasn't the MySpace guy's name Tim also?
I think so.
No, it wasn't Tim.
No. Tom.
Tom was everybody's friend.
Tom?
Yeah, he cashed out and travels the world now.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know if anybody knew what happened to Tom.
The world was better with MySpace, Facebook.
It wasn't it, though?
Yeah, it was so much
look, dude, do you know how, today in this politically correct world, you couldn't do MySpace because remember how you ranked your top friends?
Yes.
Oh,
like everybody saw your top friends, and that wasn't the meta world ranking them for you. You put them in there.
Absolutely.
Your
so
choice.
You're picking the people you wanted to have their picture on your page. And dude, you're right. It was a better world back then, man.
Well, everybody be like Matt Kimball and go online to jcwingmen.net, enter your name for the Bucket and Bite, and become a Bucket and Bite winner, and you can get a bucket of balls and a gift card for the grill over there, and plus a JC Wingman t-shirt from Apparel Lab.
You're a big winner.
You are a
30-minute lesson from the pro Kimbrew.
He'll just show you how it's done.
Not the way I swung it today. I can show you what not to do.
So, guys, we're here in the landing, and of course, Clay, our RedHawk Top Flight Award winner, and we went through a segment with him talking about all the different things that he's done and continues to do and will continue to do for James Clemens. But guys, I don't want to end on a somber note, but I do want to recognize the fact that we've lost some people this week. Just not we, but the sports world. And I know, Brad, you've met one of them individually, and some. There's lots of stories about a couple of them. Of course, Dikembe Mutombo passed away yesterday from brain cancer at 53 years old. I think that was. And but I remember Dikembe coming in, and if you know Dikembe Mutombo, if you ever watched him, it was the finger. He would just reject it. No.
Until Jordan dunked on him.
That's right. And then of course we lost Chris Christopherson, one of the great songwriters and
the Highwayman, not the Wingman.
The Highwayman. We lost Chris Christopherson. Then we talked about John Amos, the dad from Good Times.
Mr. McDowell from Coming to America.
Coming to America. I forgot about that. Yeah. They are McDonald's. We are McDowell's. Yeah, that was awesome. And then I think Professor McGonagall.
Yes.
From Harry Potter. But another one in the sports world that we lost was someone who I'm going to go in and say it. I think he needs to be in the Hall of Fame. Should have been in the Hall of Fame a long time ago. Pete Rose.
Charlie Hustle.
So when we met, first of all, dude, is there anybody else that kind of carries that type of playing ethic that Pete Rose had? When you go back and watch, of course, he was done playing by the time I came along and was following baseball, but you go back and watch those videos and the impact that dude had as a player, and then as one of the few player managers, you know, in that era, and just incredible. He did say, I heard him say this in person, that he knows he's going into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
but it will be that they're waiting for him to pass away.
Yeah.
And that he had already written his acceptance speech, and it's in an envelope, and his son has it, and that he knows that once he passes away, that he will be inducted into the Hall of Fame. He knew that in the later years of his life.
There's no way to hold him out.
So there's nothing there. Yeah. You know, what was sad to me was a few years ago when he wrote the letter asking for forgiveness for Major League Baseball and, you know, to be accepted into the Hall of Fame and asking for all that stuff to be lifted. But, he did say in person, I know they're going to put me in. They're just waiting for me to die. I've written my acceptance speech because I want it to be my words and not somebody else's.
Yeah.
And my son has the letter, so I'm not going to miss that induction ceremony. I want to hear what his words are.
Well, he's got one of the records. I mean, I'm a huge record
He's
guy.
got
Absolutely.
Like for me, I'm a huge Kentucky basketball fan. I hate it that Dan Issel still has the most points at Kentucky. I want somebody to beat it, but it's never going to happen because the one and dones. I don't think Cal Ripken's record and his record for the hits, I don't think anyone will ever come close. I looked it up today Freddie Freeman is like the closest.
Yeah.
Pete Rose played 24 seasons. Freeman's like at 15, and he's like at 2,200, and it's not going to happen.
No, and he said, don't give me that Ichiro argument either because the Japanese hits don't count. Those were his words.
And he said so many.
He said, don't give me that.
He came out and said, hey, you know, what changed? He goes, why it won't happen? He says, because they want to hit home runs. He goes, I want to hit RBIs.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just such a, you know, and I can say this, not, you know, I was there September 11th, 1985, 10 years old. In Riverfront Stadium when that happened. And, you know, it was just, I grew up, my dad was a huge, big Red Machine and, you know, Johnny Bench and King Griffey Sr. and all those guys and Dave Concepcion. That was what I grew up on. And, I mean, I thought Pete Rose was God. I mean, you know, I was so mad when he went to the Phillies.
That's what I was going to say. You know, I was actually going to bring that up.
Yeah.
Did y'all remember when he went to the Phillies? And, I mean, that was a lineup in itself. You had Mike Schmidt at third base. I mean, the Phillies were solid, you know, and then they get Johnny Hustle over there, and it just increases that team tremendously just with him. And then, of course, you mentioned it, player coach. You know, he was a manager coach.
For several years.
And that just shows what he was. And he was a part of my childhood because he was one of those, you know, it was the George Bretts and the Pete Roses and the Mike Schmidts and the Dale Murphys and all of those big names that I remember growing up when I was watching baseball. I remember getting some George Brett cleats were the first, signature cleats that I knew existed, and they were half cleats, half turf. They were turf on the front part of towards the front part of the foot. They were turf, and on the back, on the heel, it was all cleat. And I just remember those. And so Pete Rose passing away, you know, you kind of.
Well, it's the end of an era because.
You realize how old you're getting.
Well,
100%.
It's an end of an era because the way that guy played the game, the passion that he had for the game, I mean, he was all in baseball.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, even after his playing years, you could still tell how passionate he was about baseball. But as a player, that's what all coaches want. That's what we want to be as kids, right?
Sure, absolutely.
Right? We're diving head first, and you didn't play unless you left there covered in dirt, right?
That's right.
So, I mean, and now as a coach, that's the kind of players you want. You want kids that'll buy in on that level and are that gutsy and that will play to that kind of level.
Who do you remember headfirst sliding before Pete Rose?
No.
Nobody.
Well, like I said, when I was growing up, it wasn't a head first slide.
That's right.
It was a Pete Rose.
And so when you're playing Little League ball and you watching Pete Rose and all of these players, you wanted to emulate them. You wanted to be just like them. And so I remember in Little League, they were like, nope, no head first slides. You know, they took that off you can't do that. And you just said it. No, everybody was more about hitting home runs now. But back then, home runs were not common.
No.
I mean, sure, Hank Aaron had the record for a long time, but even then, I mean, it still was not a common thing with, you know, the Babe Ruths and the Roger Marises and all of those.
I also think people looked at Pete Rose like, I mean, if you look at today's athletes, I mean, I look at LeBron James, right? And I'm not a big fan of his, but I look at LeBron and I know that physically
he's an athlete.
I cannot do
right.
what LeBron James does.
Right.
Okay? I mean, I can't. You look at a Michael Jordan, and we all knew that guy is extremely gifted and special, and you physically can't do those things. I mean, they're almost freaks, right, of what they're physically capable of doing.
Absolutely.
But Pete Rose looked like the guy that lived 2 doors down in your neighborhood. I mean, he looked like the dude you saw at the local package store, every afternoon at 5 o'clock. I mean, as we drove by, Tim. I didn't go in the package store,
He doesn't drink, remember.
Right. So,
that's right.
But, I mean, he looked like the average guy.
Yes.
And the way he played, you're like, man, if that guy can play like that, then I can.
Yeah.
Or I can at least get to my potential,
Sure, absolutely.
So, I think that was kind of an end of an era where you don't see guys, you go back to like 1985, and boy, do I miss 1985, politically, socially, athletically.
Let's not go off on that tangent.
Gosh, I miss 1985. But, I mean, go back to 1985. You had sub-200-pound offensive linemen in the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, that will never happen again.
No.
The guys in baseball uniforms did look like the dude you went to church with.
Kruk.
John Kruk. Come on. He's smoking a cigarette and eating a Twinkie in the dugout, and then walk out there and hit lifetime 330 or something,
Well, that was Rose's downfall in a sense, was that he was who he was.
Yeah.
And, we talked about it. He was arrogant as all get out. When you met him, he was as cocky as they all get.
Absolutely. At 81 years old, he
and
was
if he'd have had a better front man, him and Johnny Bench always butted heads, because Johnny Bench was more of he'd toe the line where Pete didn't care. And, you look at that, and if he would have been in a situation where he maybe would have been more humble, and if he would have just took the stance, hey, guys, I bet on baseball, but I don't like to lose. I never threw a game. I never did. I bet on my team to win.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And then it got to the point, the parody of it now has gotten like, you're keeping him out, but there's like 45 DraftKings commercials that are in between the games.
Right. Yeah.
Why is gambling so bad when you're living off of it?
Yeah.
Fantasy baseball, fantasy leagues and all this kind of stuff. It got to the point where you're like, okay, come on.
Yeah, the hypocrisy now is pretty wild.
You got the strawberries and all these guys that are snorting cocaine off the bench, but don't bet on baseball.
That went a different direction in a hurry.
But I'm just saying that's where it got to the point.
You're right. You mentioned the records a while ago. Pete Rose, Freddie Freeman. Now that they've included Negro Leagues stats, I wonder, if
how
there's been
far some of those. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Rose is still pretty far ahead. I think like the still Cobb's still closest to him or whatever. I think that record and the Cal Ripken record, I don't see those ever being broken. Just the way baseball's played now too. It's like you don't see people getting that many hits ever.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Well,
we're playing that long. I mean, 24 years. I mean, you see like the pitchers are the ones that Nolan Ryan and those guys are playing the 27 years, but nobody's playing 24 years anymore.
And dude, can you believe Nolan Ryan never won a Cy Young?
It's crazy.
That's stupid crazy.
Isn't that one of the craziest things ever?
Yeah.
Well, this has been a rather interesting Wingmen podcast, and we kind of knew that it was going to go. We had Coach McGehee to start us off, and we had a great conversation with him talking about where the season is at this point with those players and with him, and knowing that the next 3 games, big tough stretch, and I know Tim's getting ready for that. And I know at home he's probably chomping at the bit, getting ready to go to Florence.
Well, I wanted to say it. I couldn't say it, but as Chad was here. But, one of these things where with him, it was like, I know those guys. I know Micah. I know Ryan. I know Malachi. I hang around those kids. The part that they don't really talk about is they feel like they're underdogs.
Yeah.
So to come in and go, Florence is probably going to be the best defense that you've ever seen all year, that's a challenge to them. And they're more fired up now than they were. So, I mean, they're very competitive. But like I said, I wasn't going to throw that out there. I'm like,
but that's good, though.
But that's who they are. And I think the same way with Cam and all those. They're very competitive. So when you go in and kind of, like Bob Jones, I thought Bob Jones was better than us. At the big,
up front.
Absolutely.
Up front, they looked.
And when they came in and they posted all over the James Clemens locker room that they're a 10-point favorite, that to me, I was like, that
would have fueled that thing up.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I mean, and we talk about it each week. The offensive line and those backs play like they got a chip on their shoulder, like they have something to prove.
You saw that Friday night with an oversized defensive line and even offensive line for our defensive front, being able to handle a lot of those 300-plus pounder guys, and the offensive line being able to make those holes for Barry, for Doty, for Gideon, and then giving Evers enough time that he was able to get rid of the ball on those timing patterns, huge. And so I know that they're ready to the challenge this Friday night against the defensive front they're going to see with the Falcons over at Brawley Stadium. And then we go into our RedHawk Top Flight Award winner, Mr. Clay Coleman, Freak Daddy himself, and all the things that he does and continues to do and will continue to to do, and also sitting in for Coach Johnson tonight. And we appreciate you being here.
I was honored to be here. Like I said, I'm a fan of your show. Like I said, I listen every week.
We're a fan of yours, and we do that. We say that sincerely because we know what quality is, especially when we go other places, and they don't match James Clemens.
They can come close.
And so you have set the bar really high, and we as fans and we as coaches and we as the players and everybody really appreciates what you bring each and every Friday night, and even in basketball season and even for Liberty.
Yeah.
You do a fantastic job. So just keep up the good work there.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So and Matt Kimball, congratulations for being our bucket and bites winner. And like I said, you go online to jcwingman.net, register. Maybe you can be our winner next week. So, guys, I think that's going to wrap it up tonight. Here, we're going to go ahead and bring this in. This was the longest podcast we've had. What was this? 8?
I bet it's not the longest.
Not quite the longest.
No, I think we had one that went like 2.5 one time.
Nah, we couldn't have gone 2.5.
I promise.
I think the over/under with me and him on the show, people were thinking it was going to be like. And man, at 1:30 we ended.
And we both tried to be more reserved.
I did.
I think
we both tried
to be 100%.
Yeah.
Well, it's a great show, and as always, you can join us next week right here at 7 o'clock on Tuesday night. We're here every Tuesday night at Walk On Sports Bistro on Highway 72 in Madison, and we get the table in the big dining room area and get it to ourselves.
Come see us.
Come see us and join us and just listen to the podcast. Join us live. Well, that's a wrap, folks. It's another episode in the books. Remember, confidence is key, and every guy deserves a wingman. You can follow us on all of our social media accounts. Leave a review. And until next time, for Homebrew, for Freak Daddy, for the wonderful, powerful Oz right over here, I'm your captain. Keep flying high. And as always, thank you for listening to the Wingmen podcast on PAS+. And as always, go Jets.
Thanks for listening to The Wingmen. Check out the archives online at jcwingmen.net or on your favorite podcast platform. Your hosts have been Kirk Pierce, Coach Johnny Johnson, and Coach Brad Kimbrough. Theme music by Jordan Lambert and Sean Lovell. Join us again next time for The Wingmen. And go Jets.